On December 18, 2025, President Donald Trump quietly signed the National Defense Authorization Act for 2026. No ceremony, no cameras, just a signature on a nearly $1 trillion commitment. The NDAA is the annual blueprint for America's military spending, and this year's $901 billion cap is the largest in history. It's more than the White House initially requested, reflecting rare bipartisan agreement in Congress. For 65 years, Congress has passed this bill, making it a cornerstone of U.S. defense policy. Yet, its passage is never routine. Trump himself vetoed a previous NDAA in 2020, only to be overridden by Congress. This time, the quiet signing signals a shift, a strategic move to avoid attention on controversial provisions. The bill contains measures that contradict some of Trump's public stances, especially regarding Europe. By signing without fanfare, the administration secures funding while sidestepping political debate. The action is what matters, nearly $1 trillion to reinforce American military power. The message is clear: America's military might is being strengthened, and the world is watching. This NDAA is not just a budget, it's a statement of intent. It funds everything from soldier salaries to next-generation weapons. The process reveals the complex priorities and compromises at the heart of U.S. defense policy. The lack of ceremony is itself a political message. It's a classic maneuver: get the job done, keep the noise down. The NDAA's passage shows that despite political divides, national defense remains a unifying priority. The world may not have seen the signature, but it will feel its impact. The silence of the signing only amplifies the statement being made. The NDAA isn't a check, it's the Pentagon's rulebook for the year. It authorizes what the military can buy, how much it can spend, and sets the policies it must follow. The bill covers everything: Army tanks, Navy ships, Air Force jets, Space Force satellites, and pay for millions of service members. It's the annual blueprint for U.S. military power, shaping the size, strength, and capabilities of the armed forces. The NDAA also extends far beyond U.S. borders, authorizing security assistance for allies and setting troop levels abroad. It's a tool of foreign policy, signaling America's commitments to friends and adversaries alike. Each year, the NDAA is the product of months of negotiation, balancing domestic needs with global strategy. It's a reflection of America's anxieties and ambitions. Understanding the NDAA is key to understanding U.S. defense priorities. It's more than a budget, it's a declaration of power and purpose. The NDAA shapes not just military spending, but America's role in the world. It's the foundation of U.S. national security for the year ahead. One of the most scrutinized parts of this NDAA is its unwavering support for Ukraine. The bill allocates $800 million for the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, funds that go directly to U.S. defense companies to supply Kyiv with weapons and equipment. This support, spread over 2 years, ensures Ukraine remains armed and able to negotiate from strength. It's a strategic move: keep pressure on Russia, bolster Ukraine's position, and encourage a diplomatic solution that doesn't require Ukrainian surrender. Beyond Ukraine, the NDAA reinforces European security, recognizing the broader threat from Russia. It codifies U.S. commitments to the region, reassuring allies and deterring adversaries. The bill's provisions are about more than money. They're about presence, policy, and posture. Congress is sending a clear message: the U.S. is not stepping back from its role as Europe's security guarantor. Even as diplomatic winds shift, this legislative commitment anchors America's military posture in Europe. The NDAA's support for Ukraine and Europe is a foundation of stability in uncertain times. The NDAA zeroes in on the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, allocating $175 million to strengthen their defenses. These NATO members bordering Russia get funding for training, equipment, and intelligence, but the bill goes further. It bars the Pentagon from reducing U.S. troops in Europe below 76,000. This legislative guardrail reassures allies that American boots on the ground aren't going anywhere. The bill also cements U.S. leadership in NATO, requiring an American to remain Supreme Allied Commander Europe. These measures are a powerful check on presidential authority, ensuring continuity regardless of who's in the White House. Congress has built a legislative fortress around America's commitment to European security. The NDAA uses the power of law to lock in America's strategic posture. For Europe, this is the ultimate security guarantee. For Washington, it's a bipartisan assertion that a stable Europe is vital to U.S. interests. The Baltic Shield provisions are among the bill's most significant and surprising elements. They show Congress's determination to keep America's promises. The message U.S. leadership in NATO is not up for debate. The NDAA exposes a striking contradiction. President Trump's America First rhetoric clashes with the bill's deep commitments to Europe. For years, Trump questioned NATO and called for allies to spend more, hinting at a U.S. pullback. Yet, this law locks in troop levels, U.S. leadership in NATO, and hundreds of millions for European defense. How? The answer is compromise. The NDAA is a product of negotiation. Trump didn't get everything he wanted, nor did Congress. Pro-NATO provisions were non-negotiable for a bipartisan coalition. In exchange, Trump secured funding for his own priorities. This is the push and pull of American politics. Presidential vision meets legislative reality. Congress controls the purse. The president makes the deal. The result is a bill that reflects both conflict and consensus at the heart of U.S. power. Despite concessions on Europe, Trump scored major wins in the NDAA by turning his executive orders into law. Executive orders can be reversed by future presidents, but once written into statute, they're far harder to undo. The NDAA secures funding for Trump's Golden Dome missile defense system, making it a permanent national program. It also eliminates diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs at the Pentagon, a key conservative demand. These provisions were critical for winning support from Trump's base and the Republican Party. The bill is a classic legislative trade pro-NATO language for conservative policy victories. Trump can now claim he delivered on promises to reshape the military's culture and priorities. By signing, he locks in his legacy, embedding his agenda in federal law. The NDAA shows how presidents use legislation to make their mark. It's not surrender, it's strategic bargaining, turning executive priorities into lasting law. Beyond geopolitics, the NDAA directly impacts millions of Americans in uniform. It authorizes a significant pay raise for all military personnel, crucial for recruitment and retention. The bill funds new ships, advanced aircraft like the F-35, and next-generation missile systems. These investments keep the U.S. military technologically ahead and support hundreds of thousands of defense industry jobs. The NDAA also invests in cyber, AI, and space, ensuring the military is ready for future threats. The Space Force gets new funding to expand its capabilities, from satellites to space defense. Billions go to strengthening cyber defenses and exploring military uses of AI. These provisions are the nuts and bolts of national defense. A strong military isn't just about numbers, it's about well-paid, well-equipped, and well-trained personnel. The NDAA makes this possible, translating the trillion-dollar budget into real security. For most Americans, this is where the bill's impact is felt most. It's the foundation of readiness, modernization, and national strength. The 2020 Almayer stan sties sta twite dine sty sti o minen sticks mine is more than a budget. It's a signal to America and the world. For Americans, it's a commitment to security, pay raises, and future technologies. The bill reflects the nation's ongoing debate: isolationist rhetoric versus internationalist action. Congress's voice ensures no single leader controls U.S. defense policy. For allies, especially in Europe and the Indo-Pacific, the NDAA is reassurance. America's security guarantees are backed by law and resources. For adversaries, it's a warning. U.S. resolve and capability remain unmatched. The nearly $1 trillion price tag is a clear demonstration of American power. The quiet signature on this bill speaks volumes. It shows that, despite political noise, America's commitment to global security is unwavering. The NDAA defines U.S. power and purpose for the year ahead. It shapes the security landscape for everyone. In silence, America's message is loud and clear.